Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. Disclaimers. One of Kim Porter's final wishes was for this memoir/diary to be made public. Out of protection for certain parties and their potential criminal activity, some celebrities, performers, and events have been represented with X's due to their highly explosive nature. At some point in the future, this information will be revealed to the public. Regarding Kim's sudden death and the mysterious illnesses of Al B. Sure and Jamie Foxx, evidence does exist that points to foul play and/or poisoning. God bless Kim Porter and all of Sean Combs's victims, both male and female.
Chapter 1. Soon after high school, I started landing modeling jobs. I couldn't believe it. It was all happening so fast. I met my husband, father of my oldest child, and one of my oldest friends in life, Al B. Sure. It was a whirlwind romance. I was only 19 when we married, and no, it didn't work out. Al is still one of my best friends to this day. Our son Quincy is such a talented and wonderful young man. At that time, I had no idea my relationship with Al was going to introduce me to the man that I would spend the better part of my adult life with. A man whom I would love and cherish, but eventually fear and hate. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I will say, although I knew what was going on, I turned a blind eye many times. Here I have to tell this truth, unfortunately, because deep down I knew everything that was happening, but I lied to myself a lot. He was so charming, a wolf in sheep's clothing, a devil, and I fell for it. This story must be told despite the fact that it'll hurt my children. I cannot hide it any longer. Sean Combs must be stopped. Chapter 2. Humble Beginnings. I was born to loving parents, Jake Porter and Sarah L. Porter, in the Peach State of Georgia. All through Columbus High School, where I graduated in 1988, I knew I was going to be famous. In the 10th grade, one of my best friends, Tina, said to me, "You won't make it here in Georgia." I knew if I really wanted to be famous, I'd have to leave my hometown and my home, Georgia. That conversation was so important as I look back now. It changed my life. I met Elle while I was working in the industry. He was so dope and charming, and I had such a crush on him. We were married before I knew it, and Quincy was on the way. But I was young, and it just felt like it wasn't going to last. It was a little heated between us after we separated, but we got past that quickly. He is just a super dope guy, an amazing father. Though we separated, we are forever bonded through Quincy. Thank you, Al. I will always love you. When I met Sean, he was cool. I didn't think much of him at the time. He was just another guy at the label. Uptown was huge, and we were all living our best life. But Sean continued to lay on the charm, and before I knew it, we were dating. As a young single mom at one of the hottest companies in the world, life couldn't get any better. Then it did. My boyfriend was getting even bigger. He and Clive would hang out a lot, but I didn't think anything of it. I mean, that was his boss, and he was doing things bigger than most men dare to even dream. Then it happened. Okay, I was a little bit of a freak. I really enjoyed myself with my partner, and toys are one thing, but never imagined having a man I was dating asking me to use a toy on him. For the first time, he said he just wanted to experiment, try something new. I was grossed out, but he kept begging. He said it would only be this one time, and he was just curious. I was only 20 at the time. I said, "What the hell?" I hated it. He bled from it, and there was shit on it. I left him alone after that. Chapter 3. Second Chances. Sean kept reaching out, and I kept ignoring his calls. Eventually, in a few weeks, we ran into each other at an event. He came over and sat next to me. We were cordial. He flattered me by saying, "You look so amazing." I replied with a simple, "Thanks, Sean." I tried to get up to leave, but he pulled my arm, and as I turned to him, he looked deep into my eyes and said, "Look, what happened between us was weird, but I really care about you. Can we He paused, and I tried to use this as my attempt to escape. I pulled my hand back and said, "Sorry, Sean, I have to go. Please, I think I'm falling in love with you. Can we talk?" My breath was taken away. Did he say he loved me? It was so fast. I wasn't aware of this as his manipulation tactic. Not yet. God, I was so young, so naive. He continued, "Let's just have dinner." And I fell for it. 2 days later, we went out for drinks at a lounge in Lower Manhattan. The place was nice. Sean was really coming up and pulling out all the stops to impress me. He pulled the chair out for me to sit. Back then, he was always a gentleman. He smiled and said, "Look," as sat across from me. "I hated it, and I never want to do it again. Give me another chance." Over coffee the next morning, I decided to give him another chance. For the next year and a half, things seemed pretty normal. It was fun. Things were going great, and we were living the dream that I dreamt about throughout my youth. Sean and Clive were working on Bad Boy, and he had his first couple of artists. He picked up Craig Mack, then some rapper from the West Coast called Notorious B.I.G. to help Chris develop. He was collaborating with the biggest names in hip-hop to make it happen. Things could not be more amazing. Then he asked me to do it again. It was insane. Sean said, "Baby, I can't stop thinking about it." "What the hell are you talking about?" I responded. Sean continued, "I just can't stop thinking about that night. It was amazing. Can you screw me one more time? Please?" I became infuriated. "Why didn't you go to Clive? He's the one screwing you, isn't he?" Then Sean hit me. This was the first time. But he slapped me hard. Before I could form words, he began to beg. I'm I'm sorry." Holding my cheek where he hit me, I turned and ran off. That should have been it, but I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. He sent flowers and a bunch of expensive gifts. Then we bumped into each other at another industry event. He sat down next to me. This was deja vu. Sean started, "Imagine running into you here. Get the fuck away from me." I forced out. He became more serious as he said, "Look, baby, I'm sorry." But I just glared at him. "There's nothing you can ever say to me. Nothing." After an awkward silence, he finished, "You know I love you. I love your son. He's my son. I don't know how to fix this, but I'll do anything. I'm sorry." Shit, he can be so sweet. Here we go with the love thing. This time it's not falling in. He was great with Quincy, and to be honest, despite everything, I missed him. As he stood to walk away, I remember hearing myself saying, "Call me later. What the fuck is wrong with me?" Chapter 4. Forgiveness. Sean arrived with flowers in hand. He wanted to see Quincy. He was so good with him, and Quincy ran over to hug him. I felt my heart melting. He asked Quincy, "How you doing, Tiger?" Quincy looked so innocent as he responded, "I'm good. I miss you." Sean's response sounded genuine. "I miss you too. We'll hang out tomorrow, okay?" "Okay." Sean gave him a little love tap on the butt. "It's bedtime," Quincy replied. "Okay, good night," as he turned to head towards his bedroom. Here was the man I fell in love with. But what was I thinking? Shit. Not only does he want butt plugs, he slapped the shit out of me. So why am I still talking to him? They say that love is blind, but is it stupid too? As Quincy left, Sean looked at me and smiled. "Baby, let's go have some fun. The babysitter's on the way. I just want to show you a good time." I was so mad at myself for melting as I said, "Okay." We sat on the couch laughing and genuinely having a good time when the doorbell rang. The babysitter had arrived, and so we left. As we exited the house, a big man climbed out of the limo and opened the door for us. He wore a sharp suit with a gun noticeably tucked under his arm. I thought to myself, he could have made it invisible, or did he want me to see it? Despite my reservations, Gene was a sweetheart. He was very courteous and polite as he tipped his head and said, "Good evening, ma'am." Jean drew a smile out of me as I responded, "Hello." Jean and we would see each other a lot after this day. Chapter 5. The year passed, and thankfully, we didn't have many bad arguments. Although Sean was strangely getting into voodoo, he'd put curses on people, and I wasn't sure how to respond to that craziness. My problem as a single mother was, I wanted to be married. He always had excuses and delays when it came to committing to marriage. His label was blowing up, Biggie dropped, and it was just about over. He also signed Mary J. Blige. And of course, when I found out he slept with her, we fought. He claimed it was a mistake, and my stupid ass took him back. Again, Sean asked me for a threesome with her. At first, I was mad, but Mary was beautiful. It was our first threesome, and I loved it. Mary was sexy. I would not be doing this a lot, but it was so hot. I was young, and exploring my sexuality was enticing. Over the years, we brought other women into our bedroom periodically, and we were happy. That is until one day it came home to a situation that went from awkward to a nightmare. Quincy was with the babysitter, and Sean was sitting with Al B. Cher at the dinner table. I had a child with Al, and Sean was the father in Quincy's life. The awkwardness of all of us being together had dissolved a long time ago, but it was still weird that they were here, in my home, together, alone. I sat down and we had drinks. It was fun. The conversation was cool, until it wasn't. Al was a little loose after a couple of drinks. I remember him saying, "It's still weird seeing you with my friend, but you're happy, so I'm happy for you guys." Sean responded, "Thanks, man. Me and you, we shared so much." Al replied coolly, "Word." The conversation took an odd and awkward turn when Sean said, "We all been together sexually, but not together." I was shocked for a moment, as quietness lingered in the room. I asked, "What do you mean by all together?" Al shifted uncomfortably, but Sean didn't hesitate. "You know how we sometimes invite other people into our bed?" I couldn't believe it. "Oh, hell no, Sean. This is my son's father. Al, say something." What Al said was mind-boggling. "I don't know. It could be kinda hot. I miss you in that way." Although I couldn't believe Sean would do this, the truth was, I still cared about Al, and this could be very hot. I just didn't want it messing up my relationship, and if things became awkward, how it would affect Quincy. So I asked, "Are you both sure?" Imagine both of them inside me. I knew this would be awkward sexually. There'd be some bumping of genitals. But what happened next? I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams. Al, blank, 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 blank. I couldn't believe it. I stood there in shock. But when Sean, blank, 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 I ran out of the room. This was too much. I couldn't. Sean called out to me, "Oh, come on, Kimmy. They didn't chase after me. They blank, blank, blank." I couldn't get the image out of my mind. I couldn't be with Sean for a while, but that wouldn't be the last time I saw Sean in a compromising position. Not by a long shot. One day I found the vault where he kept all of his encounters with men. Yes, he kept record of it, but that's for later. Chapter 6. Biggie took over East Coast hip-hop, and Sean was the brilliant mind that orchestrated it. He hired people to teach Chris how to flow and write his lyrics. He hired the best producers to do the beats, although he took credit for them, and the music was unstoppable. At this point, Sean was sleeping with all the power players, and everyone that wanted to do music wanted to be a bad boy. Sean wheeled and dealed in a way that would have been unthinkable to many. He slept with the guys that really controlled the music to stay on top. A lot of the names average people have never heard of. These are the guys that make the decisions on who is winning and who is not. He hosted parties that were just a fancy name for orgies, and everyone wanted in. When I met Tupac, Sean and I had an open relationship. And yes, I slept with Pac. Shit, he was sexy. Sean didn't mind. Well, not until he tried to get Pac to join both of us. Pac was not good with that. This is where the relationship between them became strained. Tupac wasn't going to accept Sean's advances. Pac wasn't gay, and he was pissed about the advances. We were all in Sean's house. I was drinking. They were smoking, and everyone was just relaxing. Sean came in on what I'm sure he would call a smooth approach. My baby is bad, isn't she? Pac threw me a sly smile. Hell yeah. I felt myself blush. Sean was now in full swing. You think you hit it better than me? I couldn't believe he disrespected me that way. I was not playing with my response. Sean, what the fuck? Pat came to my defense. Damn, bro, you ain't gonna do the sister that way. Tupac appeared upset behind Sean's words. But Sean went in for the kill, regardless. I think my dick's bigger than yours. I bet it can make her come faster than you. What's up? Pac was appalled. The fuck are you talking about? I ain't trying to run no fucking train, Sean continued. What you scared of? Let's see who fucks better. Let her be the judge. Yes, at this point, we'd been inviting others into our bed for a while, but not used to and will not stand for disrespect. I wasn't the only one upset. Pac shouted. You talking about pulling your fucking dick out? Sean was undaunted. What, you scared? Tupac simply left. Things were contentious since then. The two could not be in the same room. Pac avoided me as much as he did Sean. When they did bump into each other, the tension was palpable. Felt like blows could be thrown at any moment. Months passed with only the tension between them. It was uncomfortable, but nothing life or death. Then one day while we were at the studio, it happened. I walked into Sean's office and he was having the conversation. Sean sat across from Jimmy Henchman. Pac, don't leave that fucking studio alive. I don't think I was supposed to hear it. I continued as if I didn't. Hey, Sean. Good morning, Jimmy. They didn't seem to think I heard anything. Mortaring breakfast. Smiling, Sean replied first. Let me get eggs, sunny side up, with grits. And an orange juice. I could see he was hungover. Good. I don't want him knowing I know anything. If he had just put a hit out on Pac, knowing something could be dangerous. Jimmy, apparently not hungry, said, Nothing for me. As he stood to exit the room, he said to Sean, Let's make that happen. Then nodded to me and said, Kim, always a pleasure. With a wink to me and a nod to Sean, he turned and walked out. Jimmy was part of our intimate circle. It went on as if nothing was happening. I'll make the call now. I smiled as I left, hoping I wasn't white as a sheet. I wasn't in the studio the night Pac survived being shot. Thank God. From what I understand, Sean and Chris saw Pac at the studio after he'd been shot and did nothing. The way God works, after being shot. Pac made it to the elevator and tried to escape, but it stopped at the floor Sean and Chris were on. When the doors opened, they saw him lying on the elevator floor, riddled with bullets. The fact that they didn't call an ambulance, although they saw Puck lying there swimming in a pool of his own blood, would be all the evidence Puck ever needed. He, of course, assumed they placed the hit, and Tupac is a soldier. This is not something that will be unanswered. Tupac didn't do well. He lost a testicle, but he survived. It was orchestrated, and Sean Puffy Combs was the orchestrator.